Hello, Recommended 7, and welcome back to Rule the Waves 3. We are currently basking in that warm afterglow of a successful war, having plonked the Spanish flag and a few more possessions at the expense of the French. But that does leave us needing quite an extensive refit and rebuild of our fleet, and a general sit and think about our next strategic direction. So we've got a few bits of admin to do, and I did a lot of tidying up before I started recording, but we'll run through the changes we've made. So we're going to talk about air groups, we'll talk about Doctrine, we'll talk about research, and we'll talk about general plan going forward for builds into the fleet. So let's start with air groups. So I did some rationalization of our air forces, just to balance kind of operational readiness with costs. So you can see from naval aircraft, we're spending 2,700-ish a month on naval aircraft, which is not insignificant. So it's about half, or just under half, maybe 40% of our fleet maintenance we're paying for aircraft, and that's after I've trimmed down the number of air wings we've got. And that's, I've not put my fleet on reserves. That's them active duty maintenance. So yeah, it's quite a lot. So you really don't want to go too over the top with our air groups. So what have I done? Well, in the Caribbean, very straightforward. We've got naval air patrol aircraft, just in groups of 5 wherever we've got those. 1 set at Guantanamo, 1 at Arecibo, and we've got no combat aircraft. If we end up in a conflict with someone possessions out here, then potentially we can move someone from elsewhere, but I don't think it's worth having them there on standby. In Northern Europe, we've just got our base at Ferrol, which is kind of our, I suppose, our long-range aviation hub. So again, I've got 1 batch of naval patrol aircraft, and I've also got a wing of 15 medium bombers. And I don't have a lot of them elsewhere, and so I have kept them at Ferrol. So we've got 20 aircraft there, nothing at Santander. Over the Caribbean, where I think the most changes have been made, I've gone for kind of essentially 4 air bases we've kept kind of at combat ready. So that's 40 aircraft split between them. So we're going to look, for example, Tunis is one of them. So generally speaking, we've got, torpedoes, fighters. Oh, they've got some medium bombers here and dive bombers. Not the same, because in Palma, they've also got some naval aircraft patrols. So I don't have a standardized 40 set, and we'll probably look to change that heading into next war. But we've got a kind of a mix of torpedoes and dive bombers in amongst our 40 plane batch, and they are based at Palma, Saint-Florent, Cagliari, and Tunis. So I've kind of got this kind of eastern wall at the extremity of our holdings, and then kind of Palma sitting in the middle. And I think that's ample really to get things going. There's not really too much fighting, I think, planning to do in the Med. But I don't want to go completely crazy with the planes we've got there. And then moving out to Southeast Asia. So I've got some naval patrol aircraft at Saint-Jacques and Camaran Bay, and then we do have, I can't remember if it's a 20 or a 40 we've got at Lingayen. Oh, it's a 40, so it's a full offensive stack here. Torpedoes, dive, medium bombers. Well, do you know, there you go, I had more medium bombers than I really had credit for. In fact, you know what, in that case, to save ourselves a little bit of cash, we'll tweak you guys down to 10 rather than a full. Probably pennies, but it's justified. Right, and the thought here, right, to get back to back on track, is we've got combat aircraft based at Lingayen, depending on who we end up fighting. So, for example, if it's another tussle with the French, then we'd rebase them out to probably to Da Nang, where we are building an airbase at the minute. Or if we ended up fighting the British or the Germans, I'd probably rebase them down to Shortland, because Shortland, I only have 5 aircraft, I believe. Again, just the naval patrol group. Yeah. So that's what we've done. So we've got kind of 1 combat cable group over here, which would rebase as required, and we've got 4 here, which might be too many, but we'll keep it, because we can always rebase some of them out to the Caribbean, etc. as well. I think that's reasonable. Good, air groups, done. Let's talk doctrines. So we're currently have got training priorities on gunnery and torpedo warfare, and that is costing us 1,500 a month. And I was kind of thinking about what's been effective and what's not, and I never feel like our torpedoes do particularly well, despite this focus on torpedo warfare. And I think kind of going forward in the view of combat and increasing ranges, I kind of feel like torpedoes are going to become less effective as we advance through years. You know, as we get into, well, first it's going to be aviation and then into missiles. But even just within smaller ships, the longer gun ranges means it's much harder to get torpedo hits. Even with longer range torpedoes, it doesn't quite equate because obviously you have time to dodge them. So I think I'm going to ditch the torpedo warfare. Now, where we're going, given our experiences as Spain in the last war, I think we'd still have a view that gunnery is king. You know, there was some good defense from our land-based naval aviation. Obviously, our own naval air was destroyed by enemy air, so we've seen that it has some potency. But the real successes that we saw in the kind of fighting with the French mainly came through the excellence of our large guns. So I'm going to keep it. I think in reality, probably a better one would be to ditch gunnery and go into damage control, because I think that's important. But let's keep gunnery for just now. And we may double up when we get closer to war, but this will save us 600 monies a month, which is, I think, pretty useful in terms of expanding our construction. You know, it's 10% of our current construction bill. It's not insignificant. Let's apply that. And we can always come back and tweak these later. Other things, but before we do research them, let's talk kind of build strategy first. We currently have under construction essentially 8 destroyers and a handful of corvettes, and that's about it. Where we want to go next is going to be, well, I've got kind of a bit of a thought. We've started to up to 23 destroyers, which is light but not impossible to work with. I would like another run, but maybe flexible as to when we knock those out. I do want to focus on our screening ships because we did suffer quite badly at the start of the war for lack of screening. So the plan then, finish the destroyers, probably then move into a batch of anti-air focused light cruisers. I'd like to get maybe 4 of them knocked out. I'd probably want more, but I don't think I can afford more. And we'll get a run of them done. And then after we've finished that, probably move into 2 fleet carriers. Again, I'd probably like 3. Don't think we can afford it. And that's probably going to be the build plan for the next. What's that going to take me? Maybe 4 or 5 years? Because they'll take probably 3 years to build. It'll take a couple. Yeah, it's probably going to take us somewhere up to 1940. Which feels like a long time for not very many ships, but c'est la vie. Yeah. And then at that point, we'll see where we sit in terms of maybe trying to sort out our our battle line, which still contains those Madrid and Malaga from 1910 or whatever it is. Okay, so that's the current view. I have bringing almost everyone back to Northern Europe, and we'll go through our refits, etc. there. I have left 2 heavy cruisers out in Southeast Asia to do our foreign stations, and that is it. The area overview, you'll see with our increased possessions in Asia, we now need 16,000 tons worth of foreign stations, which is chunky. So I think we're going to have a permanently based active fleet out of Southeast Asia. What exactly that's going to look like, we'll have to worry about when we finish doing all our refits. I might send our older light cruisers out there. I like the idea of heavy cruisers as well, but they may be a little bit over. Okay, let us continue the turn. Interesting lack of a picture. But yeah, we've solved our torpedo problems. Speaking of planes, are we requesting an aircraft? We're not. Right, let's get our fighter upgraded. I'm just going to run through these kind of oldest to newest. Fighters, what would I like? How's your range? It's 139. Okay, it's not terrible actually. You can go with our current torpedo bombers. Oh, we have a new fighter. Hang on. We just have 2. Okay. Where's your range? 164. It's not terrible. Let's obsolete this old fighter. Though your reliability is poor. That's not what you want to see. Look at this guy. We'll get to that eventually, but yeah, let's get the older ones done first. Let's go to our, not Philippine Scout. It's a torpedo bomber we would like. I don't need to do that. Compare roll, but the number of times I click it. Torpedo bombers, what would I like from you? Don't need bomb load. Range is always useful, so I think we're going to range. Carrier torpedo, you don't need to shoot stuff down. Reliability should be improving. I really just want you to be tough so you don't die. Go far, come home. Priority. Done. We all in Northern Europe yet? A bunch of us are. Right, let's go by location. Some of them were repairing, so they weren't able to move out. You guys in South Asia, that's okay. Who have we got? The Baltico. Please come to Northern Europe. Although actually, we can do refits in other parts of the world. We don't need to bring everyone to Northern Europe. So actually, we could take the Baltico and the Puerto Rico. These are going to be our Asia force. I don't think they're quite enough. We may need to support them with someone like the heavy cruisers, but I need to get them refitted as well. Why don't we send this? How many tons is that? I think you count for more. You're a 6,000 tons, I think. You must be an 8,000 tonner. So that's 14,000 plus 4 would be 18. So I think that's all we need with these 3 ships in Southeast Asia. And then we can refit them, and then we can refit the heavy cruisers, and we'll be covered throughout. Beautiful. Right, you guys head out that way. Anyone else hanging around? You guys are in the Med. Let's pop you up to Northern Europe just so everyone's hanging out there for just now. Good. And then I was going to start mothballing people, but we probably just want to start refitting them, and then we'll decide what we're doing with them afterwards. I mean, I feel less guilty about kind of mothballing reserving fleets after refit because we lose crew quality. Right, open design for a rebuild. I'm going to start with you guys. Have any techs coming that might change what I want to do with you? Probably not. Rebuild our beautiful Mysterious class. You've done wonders for us. Guns. Oh, I never did show where we were with the gun tech because I never talked about research at all, actually. Apologies. Right. Before we look and rebuild, I want to discuss research because I've made some sweeping changes. So ordinarily we had I tend to set up a bit of a balanced research and don't touch it that much. Probably a degree of laziness more than anything else. But I decided, given the build plans that we now have, so finish destroyers, do light cruisers at AA, go into CVs, I wanted to really focus the research and saying, well, what's going to benefit me over the next 3, 4, 5 years up until I lay down those CVs. And so that's what I focused on. And I thought, well, actually, okay, what do I need from an armament perspective? Well, I want my CLs to be primarily focused on 5-inch dual purpose mountains, which we have. I don't think there's anything else we particularly need in that regard. And then, yeah, even then for the CVs, there's nothing particular I need beyond having them be able to carry more aircraft. Or actually, one thing which would be nice would be catapults, if we can get that, which is a few techs away. So then what I decided to focus on was actually put these 3, machinery, armor, and hull, all up to high. And the reason is because these primarily just give weight savings on machinery, on armor, etc., etc. So these are just general, you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck with your ship. So actually getting a couple of levels of these out now before we lay the ships down, I think would be valuable. I've left fire control on high because I can't face myself not having that up there at high. I always like to try and have that as up to date as possible because I think it does make a big difference. At least, I suppose, until perhaps planes are true kings or when missiles come along. We'll leave that where it's for now. Again, all the other stuff, there's nothing we need immediately, so I'm just going to leave that on low. We'll revisit once our CVs are laid down. And then on the CV side of things, there is a couple of techs coming up. One which increases or reduces the amount of space planes take up. So there's like deck park, and there's one other one which increases the maximum size of your CVs. These would be useful to come. I mean, as I said, I would like catapult. So that's where the focus is. Now you'll see I've left guns on high, and I did that because I had a look at my naval gun tech, and it's still pretty rubbish. So we do have quality 1 5-inch guns, which is nice and perfect for our cruisers, but we have a lot still sitting at quality 0, or even -1 for the big ones. Not that we particularly need them, but yeah, I'd like to get some of these up. You know, probably usually something like the 10 inches for your heavy cruisers, your 16 inches, your Battle cruisers are fast battleships. They're the ones I really would like to see improved. So I've left that on high until we get closer to that. Those are research changes. Right, back to rebuild. So 14-gauge caliber gun here, can't do anything with it. Or we can increase the elevation for a little bit. We've got, yes, 6-inch secondaries. And this actually I was having a think about before, because I was tempted to actually replace these. And it's not, it costs a little bit of money. So you can see we're going from $700 a month for 3 months. And it's not that expensive actually. I thought it was going to push me out to a full year, but it doesn't. Up to $1,200. So I'm paying an extra $500. So about $1,500 in total over the 3 months to change these out for 5-inch secondaries. And the reason I want to do that is obviously so I can slap dual purpose on. Actually, which makes it more expensive. So it's about $3 million I'm going to pay for this. But I think that gives it a much, obviously, better AA defense, which is important, more so than having that extra kind of surface capability from the 6 inches. So we're going to go down this route, and then we're going to tweak what we can with the weight left to us to put on some medium AA. But let's get rid of all these. We'll load up with medium until we fill either the weight or the topside capacity. There we go. 162 of 162. The tertiaries, this is all fine. Nothing going on in here. Good. Okay, and I don't feel like I need to change armor or bulge or do anything like that. And I think, yeah, that'll help her continue to be useful for a little bit longer. I do not want her reclassified a battleship, and I'm guessing it's because she's quite slow. And the reason I don't want it to be a battleship is because if she's a battle cruiser, she can turn up in cruiser fights. And granted, pretty much everything's going to be able to run away from me, but you should still be allowed to, boss around the cruisers, or at least make them retreat, which we wouldn't get if she was a battleship. Not unless she was a fast battleship, 27 knots and above, I believe. And she is not. Okie doke. I do want to rebuild 2 ships. Perfect. How's my money? Pretty largely negative. We should be able to deal with a bunch of that. Right, you corvettes, you can all go into mothball. All these destroyers. Let's, you're not even the new ones, but let's drop you down to reserve so you retain some capability. Active, that's fine. What? I'm in a weird. You, please. You guys are not moving. You're supposed to be coming home. Come home, please. Repairing. You dealt with, and you guys are all on active stations. That's fine and dandy, and not much I can do about that just. Okay. We will have to balance the book shortly, but we'll manage that. We've finished our Da Nang airbase. No, I don't need to put planes there. The Triton's finished working up. A bit late for the war, but there we go. Japanese government is going to sell us fire control. I've literally just done a rebuild. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic technology. Yes, please. Okay. And we're struggling with some AA stuff. Yeah, it means I'm going to have to put these guys back in again, isn't it? Frustrating. We can make that work. We've still got another month before we start running into any financial difficulties. And hopefully a bunch more people should be in Northern Europe and able to go into just moth. Okie dokie. Oh, German and Austro-Hungary are no longer friends. That's okay. Formation of French medium bombers have crossed the Atlantic. We can say congratulations to them. Kind of be all huffy and said we could do that if we really wanted to. Or we can be a bit bullish. And I'm happy to be bullish because I want the money. And tensions are super low. No, I don't need more planes. Thank you. And Japanese medium bomber carries bigger load than ours. Another month we can do it before we start trimming things even more. Ah, Madrid and Malaga are home. Good. Absolutely going to mothball you, gentlemen. We should have a few more destroyers that come up to Northern Europe. Well, not that they save huge amounts of money. Now you are in the Caribbean. Come on. Are penny pinching at the moment. Then you can be mothballed. Perfect. Asturias and Andalusia should be finished. Man's going to sell us the right to ship down bulbous bow. I can't afford it. No, thank you. Less signaling errors. That's always nice. And a new plane, which is unfortunately still poor. Have you improved it otherwise? You have made it less maneuverable, but more firepower. Okay. I mean, in terms of raw numbers, obviously 50% increase in firepower for a, I don't know, 8% loss in maneuverability. We'll take it. And like that, we're in the black, if only. Let's finish Andalusia and then we'll send them back under. The Italian government would like to buy dive bombing. I'm okay with that. They're going to get it eventually. I could do with the cash. Let's go back to these two. We're going to refit them again. I would very much like Advanced Director. Oh, you really, is it going to cost this much? That's very, very frustrating. Fine. So, alright, we'll get them done and then we'll work through the rest of our upgrades required across the. Got a little bit of cash, so why don't we work on someone else right now? Who's ready? Let's do you. You're going to be nice and cheap. We need to rebuild our Sisney, who's out in Southeast Asia, but that's not a problem. I think all we need to do here. Actually, we can 41 guns. We can view dual purpose. So you've got a little bit of anti-aircraft fire. Not what you really should be coming under aircraft fire. I'm not sure it's worth it for 1 HA. I think I'd rather just stick the medium on you. Not that we can get that many, but okay, we'll do that. Secondary, no tertiary. Planes. That looks all fine and dandy. Quick, cheap refit, off you go. Fire control. I mean, is that going to cost me a lot of space? Okay, that's actually pretty cheap. I'll take that. And I know I don't have catapults. I'd love catapults, but I can't afford them. Right, we'll give it Sisney rebuilt. We can probably afford to do another one as well, so let's go for the Baltico. Yeah, and this is a very much not an AA cruiser because you've got the 6 inches, which we can't go dual purpose at the minute. We can't go increased elevation. You don't even have much space for AA. Okay. We do have some secondaries. I think I'm going to ditch in favor of more AA positions. No HA, so it's all medium and light, a bit more of a personal defensive and perhaps supporting the rest of the fleet, but I think that's a better way to go. You have 60 mines actually. We could get rid of all those. would give me a bit more weight. Oh, interesting. Weight enough to do anything with this? No, not really. Let's wait to throw more of these on, but I can't throw that many. Okay. So we're up to 19 medium AA guns. Well, that will have to do. I think that's more useful than mines. Très bien. Oh, and of course, advanced direct. Plenty. Yeah, we can keep according to rebuild. We'll do the Adelbear now. We can give her dual purpose 5-inch guns. We can also... We could go for an extra plane, actually. Up to 28. Or... we just put a lot more AA on her. I feel like that amount of AA is probably more valuable than a single plane. So that's what we're going to do. I think we've still got a place for a catapult in the future. Yeah, well, I'd love to have a catapult, but I don't. Oh, improve main guns. Yeah, good point. Quality 1. Perfect. Yes. Rebuild. Okay. I just run a little bit of a negative. Okay. That'll do us for just now. Oh, bunch of new corvettes. Excellent. French medium bombers are better than ours. Well, we'll work on it eventually. We've got only a couple of months on the big expensive ones. I think we can do our old favourites here. Now, I had entirely thought about scrapping these fine ships because they've done us well, but they are so unbelievably obsolete, it's not even funny. But I need to have 6 heavy ships, or else the government gets a little bit annoyed. So we're going to keep them. Now, you could say, well, what if we keep them and make them useful? You know, stick on some machinery so we can get them to say, I don't know, 20 knots. Is, you know, it's not fast, but it's better than 17. But I think even at that, they're just not... you know, we stick on oil, whatever. They're just not that useful. Even going at 20 knots, you know, they've only got 11 inches guns. They're still slow. They're still kind of fat. Just don't want them anywhere near a place we could actually fight. Well, the refit's not that expensive. 12 months, 6 million. Not horrendous. But does that make them more useful? Really, I suppose maybe they could run away in a fight. But again, I don't want them to be in a fight. I never want them anywhere they could actually see combat. Really, my plan would, before we get into big war, scrap them and replace them with probably some more battlecruisers. Or fast battleships. Is it worth the bunch of money we want to spend now to improve these things? I'm going to say no. We'll do a rebuild, but it's going to be a minimal one. I mean, I'm tempted to not even bother with advanced director. In fact, I won't. We're going to leave you as you are. I mean, sure, we'll play around with your age just in case you get into trouble. But I think your job is going to be to sit there and look pretty until I can scrap you and replace you with something else. Apologies, it's a sad end to what have been a proud member of our fleet for a long time. Oh my god, I still got casemated guns. Okay, yeah. Yep. Could have. We're still running on coal. Ugh. Actually, you know what? I'll click the box for all the difference it makes. Yeah, they need to be replaced, but slightly lower down the priority list than actually getting ourselves some CVs. All right, good. Let us advance. The French government is going to send us some machinery. Yeah, I will buy that from you, France. Thank you very much. I'm glad we're staying friends for now. We have advanced in light force, so we can now do even bigger destroyers. I'm not sure we need 2,500 ton destroyers, but it's nice to have the option. Okay, with dive bombers operational, which means we can obsolete the old one. Wrong window. Hispano Aviación HE91. We're going to replace the Japanese one, which I was going to say served us well, but I'm not sure it did. Ah, good. It's done. We can put them probably into reserve. Torpedo bombers, how much better are you? Range, a little improvement or a big improvement? Heavy bomb load doesn't really matter because we're going to be carrying pretty much torpedoes. Bit tougher, bit more maneuverable. So I think it's essentially the same. So I think these guys win on range. I'll take the one less maneuver. There you go, Aerotechnica. Congratulations, you are providing our new dive bombers. The most modern naval patrol aircraft is more than 3 years old. And I actually remember from looking at the list that this is the next oldest after the torpedo bombers, so we'll just say yes, please. I would like a new prototype of you. I want you to go far. Really just be reliable. I don't need much more from you. Excellent. That's some name you're getting there. Let's get you reserve. Yeah. Yep. I'll keep you reserve. Caribbean and the Puerto Rico is now in. Are you in the Caribbean? Oh, you're still on foreign stations. Active fleet. Please move to Southeast Asia. Minute. And then and these are kind of my spare ones because I did notice during the war we tended to lose a number, and it would be good to have some replacements. Need to check. I think we're covered everywhere else for just now. What's the Caribbean? Caribbean's 6,000. I need probably one more in the Caribbean if I've just got the two. Yeah, so your job. Go to the Caribbean. These ones are essentially going to sit in Northern Europe as my spares. I'll probably ship them around at the start of the war, just so we don't end up with holes that we had to fill with our light cruisers like we did this time. So let's put you onto just mothball you. Honestly, it's fine. Beautiful. Yeah, we've got a commander for South Asia, not a problem. So refits, beautiful, beautiful. Major arm firms want to sell ships to a South American country, sorry. Yep, absolutely, I'll take some money. World tensions is perfectly palatable. Okay, so Madrid, Malaga, you guys are going straight into mothballs, I'm afraid. Adelbear, I think we'll keep you on reserve. I'd be tempted just to mothball you, but you're the only CVL in this case that we have. Yeah, but why are you in the Med? You're supposed to be going to Southeast Asia. Get there. Yoke. Disney's finished her rebuild, and some of our new destroyers are being finished. Excellent. I want to look at... Oh, okay. You're also in the Mediterranean. Interesting. I think I've misinterpreted something in one of the updates where it talked about being able to refit ships overseas. And it seems to be that the ships here have simply come back to, although they were based in South Asia, they then returned to Mediterranean. Because presumably I have big enough bases in the Mediterranean. Yeah, let's look at the base capacity of... it's not the biggest, I suppose. Tiny, but it's not massive. I don't know exactly what base capacity we would need. A little bit. Oh, that's very expensive. It's very expensive. We are going to have a pretty big fleet based out of there for a lot of the time. Okay, we'll invest. Right, which means I need to send you back out to Southeast Asia. Fine. And actually, you, who I'm sending out there, who's then going to come back to Mediterranean, just come to the very South Pacific. Yeah. Head over that way. We'll get you refitted. Good. Let's save up a little bit of money and then design ourselves some light cruisers. Germany's going to sell some tech. I'll take it. Your weight saving 2%. That's nice. On another turn. We've now got rid of our torpedo development. We do have a boost in money from world economy. Good. Okay. Only 1,000. Maybe let's go up to 30 and then we'll build something. How much more do I need in Southeast Asia? Well, I don't have you. Well, why don't I send 3 of these gentlemen while we wait? So I'm going to send these out to Southeast Asia, and then that'll allow us to bring our 2 heavy cruisers. We'll get those. Our destroyers done. Straight into mothball, actually. Build my Turul. Right, we'll get our Minesweeper Zeppelins. We'll give you a refit. I don't think I'm going to do anything with you guys. You don't need AA. You don't really need improved directors. You're, oh yeah, you're just a Minesweeper one. Just leave you as you are. Want it. Yes, W1s. Similar, don't need to do much, but we can perhaps give you a DC thrower. Give you lots. Which will improve your ASW number, and that's your job. Okay. Oh, I think we've looked at that before. You have 2? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. We'll rebuild all these. Done. Ah, low tensions have reduced my naval spending. That's always disappointing to see. But more weight saving, which is very timely because I'm going to design ourselves some light cruisers. But first, Southeast Asia, you come back to Mediterranean and we'll get you refitted in Puerto Rico. You need new 5-inch guns. Yes, you will get increased innovation. You're not going to have much else. Forward advanced director. I steal 8 tons? Oh yeah, I can steal mines. Throw that on, we'll throw a few of these on. Okay. That's better. So you do have better guns. You've got a little bit of AA then, which is, you know, good to see. Save and finish. Right, let us then design ourselves our CLA. So I sent a design a while ago about CLA based on the Dido class. The reason I'm going to mention it is because it allowed me, and it allows me to talk about one of the things that I have, which I'm going to see if I can get a picture and throw it up on screen. That is Jane's Fighting Ships of World War II book. So if anyone doesn't know Jane's, they're like an intelligence agency that works off open source material. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone who uses this will know they are. But then they collect magazines and books based on assessments of capability and equipment. And they do it for land, sea, air, space, all sorts. And if you want to get the most recent Jane's Fighting Ships of the World, 2324, it sets you back something just north of £1,500, which is a lot of money. Thankfully for us historical folks, old things are cheaper. So I picked up a second-hand copy of the World War II book for, I think, grand sum of £20. So this was originally printed in 1946-47 and was, as intended, a collation of all the fighting ships of the combatants of World War II. The particular one I've got, I think, was reprinted in 92, I think is the version of it. It had a few updates and corrections. Yeah, and essentially it just lists details of all the ships of all the nations in World War II and has a few black and white photos, is always nice to see, but it shows you their design, the layout, and also talks about their fate and things. I flick through to find myself the Dido, as we're talking about, and I can see here, so the Dido class, the first 7 ships of a class, the Dido, the Ulysses, the Phoebe, the Ceres, the Cleopatra, the Scylla, and the Argonaut, equipped with 10 5-inch dual-purpose guns, which seems pretty reasonable, and dual turrets. That's probably what we'll end up with. I was at kind of high 20s AA positions and 6 torpedo tubes in 2 offset triple launchers. Speed of 33 knots, and all of that for only 5,450 tons, which is probably a lot more than we can squeeze into that weight. So I think I'm going to use this as a basis because I think it's a reasonable design, and we will design a ship and see what it looks like. But yeah, I do very much enjoy looking through this book, and I was pleased for an excuse to talk about it. Okay, let's go back over to the game. Let me, I'm going to tweak the design and we'll talk about what it looks like at the end. Okay, and here we are. So, similar to the Dido, but not quite there in the end. So we've got, again, we've gone for the 10 5-inch dual-purpose guns, obviously in 2 gun turrets, 3 at the front, 2 at the back. Unfortunately, I can't get my third turret to be superimposed again, so we're all 3 are forward firing, so we have a little more limited arc than the real thing. We've got obviously some A positions on. I've not bothered with any secondaries or tertiaries. And we have got the, actually very similar, yeah, so 3 tubes on each side. I think she's probably not going to be very near things that you need to launch torpedoes at, but I think useful to have as a defense in case you come across a heavier ship. She's a bit heavier at 6,000 tons, and she's a bit slower at 31 knots versus 33. So yeah, we don't quite have the same tech. Now, granted, actual Didos were built a few years later. I think we're 1940. But even then, I think we're... and down for 2-inch belt. Often I go 3-inch belt for the cruisers, but again, I think these are primarily there as AA platforms. We're going to keep it like that. And I'm pretty happy with these. And I'll call it the Escudo class, which is Spanish for shield, because I thought that was very fitting. So this is what we're going to go with. They cost us $1,250,000 a month, so we could get, I mean, we could maybe go for 6. Feels greedy. maybe we'll do 5. I tend to do even numbers. I don't know why. I was in my head. I was thinking, well, rather than 4, we could maybe go 6. But I think we're going to split the difference and maybe build 5 of these. I think it'll give us a kind of good solid light cruiser fleet. Beautiful. Be very happy with that. Go get it designed, and we'll sort that out. Perfect. All right, so there we go. That's where I'll call this one to close. So we've got a few more years of rebuilding to go after this before we start thinking about who we're going to fight next. And yeah, next up after our light cruisers will be a fleet carrier. We're getting there, and I'm very excited to reshape the Navy and then throw them into action once again. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheerio.